I'd like to welcome Tricia Lauer, Associate Vice President of Learning Assessment, to introduce today's featured session.
Hello, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce our speakers, Adam Markowitz and Lynn King, who will be diving into the theme of scaling student success for millions of adult learners in the digital age and what that actually looks like today. On a personal note, an area of great interest to me is the growing gulf between the knowledge, skills, and abilities of people entering the workforce or seeking to advance in their career, and the knowledge, skills, and abilities that are crucial to their success. Employers' overwhelming consensus is that too many graduates lack critical thinking skills, the ability to communicate effectively, solve problems creatively, work collaboratively, and adapt to changing priorities. In addition to these competency deficits, employers are also finding that people lack the technical skills associated with specific jobs. In this keynote, Adam and Jamie will address what it takes for institutions, faculty, and employers to collaborate on closing the skills awareness gap and the trifecta of change needed for this to impact the growing non-traditional student population. Lynn King, a member of Ashford Honors College, is pursuing a bachelor's degree in business administration. Presently, Jamie is serving as the president of the Forbes School of Business and Technology Business Management Club. Jamie is a mentor for the Ashford University Champs Peer Mentoring Program. She is a member of Golden Key International, Alpha Sigma Lambda, Sigma Beta Delta, Sigma Epsilon Kappa, Society for Advancement in Management, Greenleaf Center for Servant Leadership, as well as several other Ashford clubs. Jamie has worked in the nursing field and business management in the past. She has served as secretary, vice president, and president of student government at Metro Business College. During her time at Metro Business College, Jamie also served as president of IAAP, president of the medical club, and secretary of the student government. Recently, Jamie wrote an article titled, "Are Women Considered Cheaper Labor?" which was published in the Ashford Humanities Review Journal. Adam Markowitz is the founder and CEO of Portfolium, acquired by Instructure in 2019, proudly serving millions of students and graduates from over 3,600 colleges and universities as they connect their learning with opportunity. Portfolium grew from a simple need to better showcase and prove Adam's skills beyond listing college courses and GPA on his resume. It has since grown into a global student success network, helping millions of students share a complete picture of their academic and professional potential, while providing educators and employers with the tools they need to assess learning outcomes, build pathways, issue badges, and recruit talent. Prior to Portfolium, Adam earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Structural Engineering from the University of California, San Diego, and a Master of Science in Astronautical Engineering from the University of Southern California. For 6 years, Adam worked as an aerospace engineer, designing, analyzing, and testing liquid rocket engines for NASA's next generation space launch vehicle, as well as the Space Shuttle main engine. Please join me in welcoming Jamie and Adam.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning into today's webinar and virtual keynote for the Teaching and Learning Conference. First off, I want to apologize. I'm not going to have my video on this morning. It's probably for everyone's own good. The camera on my laptop's pretty glitchy. It would just give you a headache. And I've also been chasing my 1-year-old around since 5 a.m. this morning, so I'm kind of a mess. It's better to stick with just audio for today. But anyway, we're going to be talking about scaling student success this morning, weaving in some of the history that got us here, specifically how we look at student success and focus on an often overlooked, but I think essential pillar of student success. Before we get into that, I should probably officially introduce myself. Again, my name is Adam Markowitz. I am the founder of Portfolium, which is now a proud member of the Instructure family. It's the same Instructure behind the learning management platform Canvas. Instructure acquired Portfolium earlier this year. It's been a super exciting time for all of our users, our customers, and our partners. As Trisha said, prior to founding Portfolio, my background is actually in aerospace and astronautics, which is a long story for another day, but one I'll talk a little bit about today because I think my story is in fact one of student success. And when we talk about student success, we generally talk about some key non-controversial pillars like access, engagement, persistence, and graduation. And to be honest, in the past, the conversation kind of tended to end there for a lot of higher education professionals. As long as we, at Portfolio have had a seat at the table, so to speak, and had a voice in the conversation, we really use that voice to talk about another important pillar of student success, and one that when we first brought into the conversation, we were kind of welcomed with some rolling eyes, or at times left folks scratching their heads. And that pillar is outcomes, all types of outcomes, job and career outcomes, learning outcomes, skill outcomes, and lifelong learning opportunities, well beyond just degree programs themselves. We talk a lot at Portfolio about how learners can receive credit for what they already know before ever stepping foot on campus or watching a lecture online, or even before enrolling in a single course at an institution. We talk about using badging and micro-credentials to certify those skills that students already have and those that they're going to acquire and sharpen over their career. We talk about outcomes at scale, like at an institutional level, but we also talk about them at the course level. What are the outcomes of a specific course? What will students learn from that course? What will they take with them when that course is completed? What skills will they acquire? What skills will they have sharpened? And how are they going to prove it? I'd be lying if I said we stop there. We drill down even further into a specific course, down to a specific assignment and project, and ask all those same questions, right? What will they learn in completing a single assignment? It's safe to say we obsess over outcomes. We don't just talk about them, I promise. To be fair, we're actually happy these days. We don't see eyes rolling or heads being scratched when we talk about outcomes anymore. It's a real part of the conversation of student success, and we're super happy about that. Now, because we've thought about and talked about outcomes so much, we're really able to relate to and empathize with the sort of public outcry and just general dissatisfaction with higher education we witnessed over the last decade. It's the same period in which we've seen underemployment of new grads reach nearly 50%. The student loan crisis ballooning to over $1.5 trillion, more than credit card debt in the US, and just a large number of employers complaining that they couldn't find graduates with the skills they're looking for. We've been at this point in time where all types of learners of all ages, all backgrounds are kind of putting their foot down and asking, what's the actual ROI? What's the real return on their investment for their academic experience? Now, whether students earning a degree or a certificate, or they're just seeking to gain a promotion at work, or maybe change careers, or just simply expand their general knowledge in an area, whatever the case may be, they should be able to see and just really easily understand what they're going to get out of any educational program. That kind of transparency just hasn't always been there. At Portfolio, we're proud to have had at least some impact in this regard. We're proud to have gone from just thinking and talking about it to acting on it over these past 6 years. A student today can view a course catalog and enroll in a course knowing full well what they're going to learn, the skills and competencies they're going to acquire, and the opportunities, whether those are job or career opportunities or just further learning opportunities, or both. What opportunities those skills are going to unlock for them. And then the icing on the cake is they're going to have this tangible evidence of those skills and competencies showcased in their own lifelong learning profile that they could take with them along their academic and professional journeys. It's a learning profile that smartly suggests new skills they might be acquiring based on the work they're uploading or the academic pathway they're on. And a profile that will actually recommend new learning paths and new opportunities, some of which they might not have thought of themselves. That's a reality today, and how we've really kind of tackled this problem head on. It's what we set out to accomplish back in 2012 when I actually first learned to code websites so I could build and launch the very first version of Portfolio. And it's what every new member that kind of joined our team since then and over the last 7 years has believed in and envisioned. It's exactly what we've been able to deliver now to over 5 million students across the globe from more than 3,600 colleges and universities, now showcasing over 7 million skills. And those millions of students and now graduates were taught and inspired by their professors and lecturers and teachers, over 60,000 of which have been empowered in many ways to supercharge their courses and programs using Portfolio. Now, Portfolio didn't just start out of the blue one day. It definitely wasn't one of those just, oh, this looks good on paper business plans. The idea for Portfolio was actually born out of my own personal story, my own personal need when I was asking those very same questions about what the true ROI of my education was. When I was trying to show employers what I had gotten out of my educational experience, how that could have possibly been different from what other students in my same major at my same school had gotten out of their experience, and why those differences made me the right choice for their company. I asked, how could I get credit for what I had learned beyond just the academic credit and beyond just a letter grade or GPA? So back in 2008, when I graduated from UC San Diego with a degree in engineering, I brought a portfolio with me into my job interviews. It was a portfolio of the work that I had completed during my time at university. I wanted to prove to employers what I had learned. I wanted them to literally see the quality of my work firsthand. I wanted them to feel the passion I had for my field of study. I wanted to honestly just be more than a transcript, more than a GPA among their giant stack of resumes. I didn't want them to just take my word for it when it came to the list of skills I had on my resume. I wanted to provide that kind of instant proof of those skills. Little did I know at the time, but those employers I interviewed with, they all wanted that same thing. They wanted to look beyond a candidate's major and GPA. They were kind of tired of using these proxies of talent, that's what they are, proxies, to do their recruiting. They wanted real proof of talent instead. So that portfolio served me really well. It helped me land my dream job after college, working, as Trisha said, on NASA's Space Shuttle program, where I worked for 6 years before NASA retired the Space Shuttle program. It's what ultimately set the stage for me to want to build a platform that allowed any student anywhere to do the same. But there's so much more to the story than just a great way to recognize and showcase skills, to land meaningful jobs, to connect the dots between learning and future opportunities. There's even more to the story than improving the true value and ROI of an academic experience. If you kind of keep traveling down this road, you'll get to a place that we envisioned all those years ago when we first started working with students. Some have called it a utopian space, and they'd be right, but we didn't care. We're shooting for the moon. Truth is, we envisioned a future where a person's proven abilities determined the opportunities they were afforded, and that they were in control of acquiring and developing those proven abilities. Therefore, they were in control of their own destiny. This meant it didn't matter where someone started out in life. What mattered was that they were in control of their future, and that embarking on any academic journey was a path towards reaching their destiny, right? An academic path where they could acquire new skills and abilities and therefore unlock new opportunities. Essentially what we were describing was a meritocracy. And that all may sound a little too theoretical and not a real reflection of where we are today in the world, but we're actually making real progress towards it. And we're really proud of it. We say the phrase leveling the playing field a lot as a team here. And by focusing on a person's abilities and proof of those abilities, and making that the priority, it really shouldn't matter if a person was born into an affluent family, attended an Ivy League school, or if they grew up below the poverty line, went to community college. If a company is looking for a specific kind of talent or ability, and you have evidence of that proven talent or ability, we believe you should surface on that company's radar and be considered for the opportunity. And this is where, like I said, we're already seeing progress being made. Companies like EY, P&G, Google, and others, they've actually removed the college degree requirement altogether from their recruiting process. So they're beginning to focus more on skills than the pedigree of an institution. In some cases, they're just hiring so many new employees, they really didn't have a choice. They had to begin broadening their search and casting a wider net, as they say. And that wider net is actually opening opportunities for learners that just wouldn't have gotten on their radar otherwise. And really, to be honest, everyone wins in that scenario. The company's getting great new talent they wouldn't have found otherwise. Students are getting great jobs. And colleges are ultimately graduating a fully employed, happy alum who can draw a line to kind of connect the dots between what they learned and then the opportunity they landed because of it. As I've said, it's an honor to have had even the slightest impact on these changes we're seeing in recruiting, and an equal honor, really, to have had an impact on the way tens of thousands of educators from all walks of life, all types of institutions, have delivered a valuable experience to their students. When a university can point to their programs and confidently tell us what skills and outcomes are being achieved in each, when they could then generate a report that shows those outcomes plotted over time, point to the opportunities those outcomes afford their students, we really just smile big and say, wow, that's the real value. That's the real ROI we can all be proud of. Now, given our audience today on the webinar, and just knowing how passionate you all are about delivering that valuable experience, that true ROI to your students, I'm happy to stop talking and do what we do best at Portfolium, actually, and that's hand the stage over to students. In fact, fun trivia, the word Portfolium, you might have heard, is actually a combination of the words portfolio and podium. The idea being we want to give students the opportunity to take center stage in front of the podium in the spotlight. showcase themselves to the world. So it's kind of very fitting that I get out of the way and introduce everyone to a wonderful student, Jamie Lynn King. As Tricia said, earning her bachelor's degree in business administration at Ashford University. So thank you very much, Jamie, for joining us on the webinar and sharing your story. I'll let you go ahead and take it away.
You're welcome, Adam. I would like to thank Tricia for your wonderful introduction. I would also like to thank you, Adam and Hanson, for inviting me to be here today to speak, as well as my coworkers who are in attendance and my mentors, Bill Davis and Dr. Ronald Beach. Thank you guys for your support. A little background on me: I am a student at Ashford University. I actually only have 2 courses left until I complete my degree program, at which time I will be graduating with honors. I am in line right now to graduate as summa cum laude, and I absolutely love Portfolium because I value academic excellence, and it gives me the ability to showcase my best work and really demonstrate my competencies in the skills and material that I have learned. So this project is one that I selected to be featured today. It is what I am most proud of. Serving as the president of the Forbes School of Business and Technology Business Management Club has provided me with experiential learning experiences that have enhanced my leadership skills, communication skills, collaboration skills. I am much better with teamwork. This was a group project. My vice president, Tyler Croft, and Mandy Kistner and I worked on this project for a while. We put together the strategic plan for the Forbes School of Business and Technology Business Management LinkedIn Club. Our organization became an official student organization on April 1st, 2019, which was a huge accomplishment. And today we have almost 3,000 members. So I'm very proud of this. I chose this because as a student in the business administration program, being able to put this on Portfolium really showcases my skills and the knowledge that I've obtained in my field. So I think that this is my favorite piece that I have in my portfolio right now. The next piece that has been selected is an article that I wrote entitled "Are Women Considered Cheaper Labor?" It was a big project I done in my English Composition 2 course. It was a research-based paper. I ended up with 23 sources. It provides a balanced view of benevolent sexism, occupational segregation, gender-based income disparity. The topic was something that I had chose because it was assigned in a list, but I found myself very passionate about the topic. And so I included it on my Portfolium, and I really love that when you do a project on Portfolium, you don't just have to upload the document. You can add additional links and things like that. So when you go into my project on Portfolium, you can actually click a link and it takes you directly to the web publication, which was published September of 2018 with the AHR Academic Journal at Ashford University. So I've been using Portfolium since I started at Ashford. I kind of fell in love with the program early on, and it became a hobby of mine. I have a lot of different projects in there. I currently have over 600 connections on Portfolium. I love that I'm able to connect with other students and see their work, and it creates a really diverse environment where you can see work from people from different schools, different degree programs. I think it's really wonderful. I began working toward becoming an ePortfolio ambassador, which I did receive that badge yesterday, and then I finally completed the Portfolium Pro badge. And so that is my most recent accomplishment. I had to work through a series of milestones in order to obtain it. And so I am officially a certified Portfolium Pro, which I'm very honored to have that certification and proud of.
And you have one more connection as of this morning. we are now connected, Jamie.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's like something like 609. And I love going in there. There's so many different categories. You can, if it's humanities or arts and science, or if you're interested in business, there's just, it's unlimited what you can find in there. And you're able to follow different people. And so there's a diverse idea sharing that goes on in Portfolium. And as the student success assistant for the Champs Peer Mentoring Program, I actually had the opportunity in July to share my screen during a Champs chat and help some of the students learn how to log in and set up their own portfolio. And I think it's just really beneficial and valuable. In my experience, before I started Ashford University, I went to a traditional college and I had a portfolio, just like Adam had said. He had his portfolio when he went into his interview. Mine was a binder, very nice. I kept all my stuff in there. I feel like being able to demonstrate your competencies, not just say that this is what you can do, but prove it, validate your credentials. It really speaks volumes to a prospective employer. And so Portfolium is just amazing to me because it gives you the opportunity to take a digital portfolio. You know, Portfolium is available on Android and iOS. I have it on my iPad. I feel like walking into an interview and being able to show my competencies using my digital portfolio would maybe what sets me aside from someone else who's applying for that job. And I feel like in today's, digital world, everything is digital. It's much more trendy to walk into an interview with a digital portfolio than to have a binder in hand. So I really love using Portfolium. I think it's beneficial to everyone, even brand new students, because even if you're brand new and you don't have a lot of projects, you still have stuff to put in there. You're a student, you're attending Ashford University, you can put your courses in there. So I think from anyone, whether they're a brand new student or they're a graduate student, Portfolium is a good fit and could serve them well in a job interview.
Yeah, those are all great points, especially the incoming students, right? Even first day as a student, there's stuff you could already put in there. And we see that. We see it actually being motivating for students to kind of get in there and see how others are using it right away. So that literally you're immediately making connections between what you're learning or what you're going to learn and then kind of the opportunities that are going to come your way because of it. And it's funny that you mentioned the binder because I have exactly that too. I mean, that's what I brought with me into that job interview. And so when we built Portfolium, we thought to ourselves, like, we can obviously having it digitally is more beneficial. But do we want this to just be a digital locker or a digital binder? Or do we want this to be a network where you can connect with other people, see what they're putting in theirs, but still have the comfort, of course, of all the privacy settings you'd expect. And what we didn't realize was just how much of an impact that would have in terms of student success. When we talk about engagement, persistence, like what motivates a student, besides just making the connection between what they're learning and what they could do, is seeing how others are doing that same thing. And that just, pretty much took us by surprise and has consistently blown us away.
Absolutely, Adam. And for those students who may not have an iPad to walk into an interview with, you can also download your portfolio as a PDF. The Portfolium will help you to build a resume, or if you're wanting to just showcase up to 4 of your best projects, you can download it as a PDF. You could attach it to a digital resume. You could print it out. You could submit it with your cover letter. There's lots of different ways that it could be used. And I think that it's just a genius platform. I really enjoy it a lot. I personally was playing around with it last night, and I saw, even to help you to build your resume, you can go through Portfolium and say, hey, I can demonstrate competencies in this skill and this skill. And it really helps you to build your resume and build your portfolio. And then being able to have that PDF document in the event, you haven't gotten the interview yet, but you want to show that you're credible, you can submit it with your cover letter and your resume. So you can use it before you even get into the interview setting, just to back up your resume, which I think is really awesome.
That's great to hear. I love hearing from students, especially when we talk about stuff like that feature, right? To generate a resume, to generate a watermark on an existing resume or cover letter to send an employer to. Right? All this came from talking to students like yourself over the years. I mean, we spent even the first year and a half as a platform, as a company, just iterating on that experience for students based on the feedback they were giving us. There was nothing that just kind of came out of thin air. And so we never get tired of it. We constantly ask for that kind of feedback, and I encourage you not to hesitate to send more our way.
Okay.
Questions. Let's see. I know there's a Q&A function here, but because I'm sharing my screen, I'm not sure if I'm able to get into it. Let's see. Hanson, are you still on the line here?
Yeah, I'm happy to maybe ask some questions out loud for these folks. And Let's just go one by one here. We have someone asking, actually, Morgan asking, can you share a bit about the recent integration with Canvas?
Sure, yeah, happy to. So what's great about the recent integration that we did was, there's an LTI integration inside of Canvas, right? The Portfolio LTI app. And once that's installed, it'll create a very quick access point for students inside of Canvas with a single click, essentially, from the navigation menu that slides out to go directly into your portfolio. And so if you haven't started one yet, it'll get you started very quickly because of that LTI connection. It essentially will fill out some of your profile for you with the verified information. If you already have one, it'll just log you right in with a nice little landing page as a jumping off point. Now the integrations will continue. There's some things that already existed even prior to the acquisition, just through our partnership with Canvas. One being, as a student, I can quickly import any kind of assignment that I had previously submitted into Canvas directly into my portfolio. So with a click, I could just grab previously submitted assignments and have them appear in my portfolio, where, of course, I could expand on them further. As Jamie said, I could not just have the attachment, but then tell the story about that assignment. And then, of course, be discovered by employers because of it. There's a bunch of integrations as well on the educator side for doing learning outcomes assessment. And a lot of that stuff is kind of easier to show than to talk about. And so our team is happy to provide that kind of demo for folks.
Yeah, and Cole had asked about, can you give us a sneak peek of what's to come in 2020 for Portfolio? Maybe that's a follow-up about that outcomes assessment type stuff.
Exactly, yeah. Continuing to iterate on the outcomes assessment functionality, as well as pathways and kind of that LTI sync between Canvas and Portfolio.
And another question, what are the most important traits, not necessarily skills, you think employers are looking for now? And what do you think that will look like 5 years from now?
Question, is that for me specifically, you think?
Yeah, it's probably for you.
Happy to weigh in. It's funny. We talk about a lot about soft skills and how those sometimes folks think those are a little harder to prove. We see folks proving that in their portfolio every single day. Critical thinking, teamwork, ethical behavior, creative problem solving, creative writing. I don't think those are going to change. I think those are pretty consistent. I think the technical, some of the more hard skills are going to continuously evolve as just technology evolves, but those are kind of the essential human traits that I think all employers are looking for. One of my favorites I always hear from employers is grit. The number one trait I hire for is grit. I want someone who's gritty. And then I would ask employers what they meant by that. And I would get a different answer from different employers. And that actually led to some of the product functionality we built into Portfolio that allowed employers, however they defined a trait like grit, would be able to find students who had proven that in their portfolio. So we try to have the technology kind of match the situation rather than trying to guess dead on exactly what people are going to be looking for, right?